Hi, so this is going to be my new adult mashup, and I'm going to talk about 3 new adult books in this video, and I actually had all of these on my Nook, so don't have any books to show you. But the 3 books are Making Faces by Amy Harmon, The Edge of Never by J.A. Redmersky, and Losing It by Cora Carmack. So Making Faces is one complicated book. So, how to describe this book other than it being amazing and emotional and crazy? The general synopsis that is out there is that it is about a pretty boy who goes off to war and ends up getting injured, and the people he went off to war with from his town are killed, so he has to come home and deal with his disfigurement and being the only survivor. He interacts with a girl that he knew in high school who was kind of ugly back then, and it's all about understanding what beauty really is and those things. But there's more to it than that. There's also this other character who suffers from MD and is the heroine's cousin. Yes. And how his view of the world impacts both of these characters as well as other characters in the novel. It's a story, there is a romance, but it's also a novel about friendship and growth and self-discovery and standing up for yourself and dealing with all of the things that you go through, the horrible, horrible things, whether it's death or loss or heartbreak or love, all of those things. It just deals with every single one of those and does it in a beautiful, beautiful way. This was a 5-star book for me. I cried my eyes out for the last 100 pages. Don't be turned off by that. It is so beautifully well written. I almost hesitate to call it a new adult novel because I feel like new adult has this connotation of being about sexual growth and maturity, and while those things occur, I guess, and it does deal with that age group that new adult deals with, there's so much more in here. I think calling it new adult, and honestly I think the cover also kind of gives it a disadvantage. I think this book could appeal to a lot of people who wouldn't traditionally read YA or NA. It's definitely one of the most emotional books I've ever read. I don't think I've ever cared so much about characters ever and been so emotionally invested in who they were. And you had these characters, the cousin, I believe his name is Bailey. He could have just been like a token character, but he wasn't. He was more than that. He added so much to the novel, and his story and his arc was beautifully, beautifully done. I think one of the things that makes this book so good is the relationships between the characters, between all of them. So between Bailey and the heroine and the hero, all of literally their trio is so interesting, and how it begins and how it continues, the book is told in, it progresses, a lot of time passes, but also it goes into flashbacks, so you see them as children and how those things directly impact what's going on now in the story, and you see them in high school and you see them as in their 20s. And in my opinion, the romance part of it is almost secondary, and I am a romance person, but I did not mind at all. In fact, I preferred it this way. I thought having the romance be heavier would have kind of cheapened what the book was, and it definitely made me want to read more of Amy Harmon's books. So I know she has a few, so I have a couple on my TBR shelf or TBR list that I definitely would like to read at some point. And I would highly recommend reading this, but box of tissues, people. Keep a box of tissues near you. And moving on to much lighter fare is The Edge of Never and Losing It. Edge of Never, I guess, has some intense things. I did cry a couple times, but not like I cried in Making Faces. I think both of these are a lot more traditional new adult and a little more formulaic, but I thought they were okay. So Edge of Never, I gave 3.5 stars, and it's about a girl And she just basically one day is like, she's not liking the way her life is going. She doesn't think she's making the right choices necessarily, so she decides, screw this, I'm gonna get on a bus, I'm gonna go. Which, honestly, I have always wanted to do. I'm a very scared person. I don't like change. I don't like leaving the comfort of my own home and, you know, my family. And sometimes I just want to do this. I just want to get in my car and just drive, or just get on a bus and go somewhere randomly. Like, just go to the bus station and buy the first ticket out of the town that I live in and see what would happen. So basically that's what she does. And she meets this guy named Andrew, and it's about their friendship and how they affect one another, which turns into a romance in dealing with a lot of issues, I guess. Honestly, probably, it's hard to talk about this book without giving away, like, the big surprise. Well, I guess there's 2 surprises. I personally thought the friendship aspect when they were on this road trip and getting to know each other, and he was kind of pushing her from a friend point of view, was really interesting. I really liked those. But the minute their relationship turned sexual, I lost it. I was like, I didn't have a problem with it going that way. I just felt the way it was handled was done poorly, I guess. It felt rushed and a little forced. Like, literally their interactions when they were just communicating as friends and having conversations felt real and relaxed, whereas the sexual things just felt like, oh, I need to throw this in to make the book more exciting, or to make this like 50 Shades of Grey or something. But in general, I did enjoy it. There is a sequel called The Edge of Always, which I do plan on reading eventually, but not urgently, I guess. I did have some issues with the way that this book ended. There were some choices that the author made I don't agree with. I don't think I can talk about this without spoiling it, so I won't. If you want to know, let me know and I will further explain. And just so you know, this book is actually a little different. It's told in dual perspective, but it's not like a traditional dual perspective, like, I'm trying to see if I have to write anything, like a Katie McGarry novel, like where it's like literally alternating chapter to chapter. This is like, I didn't even realize it was dual perspective, because you're with Cameron, the girl, for so long, and then suddenly it's like, boom, go to the guy. And that's what would happen. So you'd spend chapters here and chapters there, but no consistency, which was kind of nice and also a little confusing sometimes. Plus, what would occur is sometimes you'd see like Cameron, and then you'd go to Andrew's point of view, and you'd like backtrack and re-see the story stuff. It was interesting. On to Losing It. Definitely the lightest of the 3. So I'm pretty sure I've summarized this book numerous times. A lot of people know what it's about. Basically a girl almost sleeps with her professor. Has to deal with those issues. And they still are attracted to each other, so it's also dealing with those things. And again, it's a little predictable, a little formulaic. I was kind of excited to see how she dealt with this like almost taboo subject, and I don't think she being Cora Carmack pushed it enough. I think it could have been addressed more or developed more, that aspect of the relationship. But in general, I do think she handled the situation well. It felt believable. So I can't complain that much. And one thing that surprised me, I don't know why, but the fact that the main character, she was an actor, and basically all her friends are actors, and dealing with all of that, I thought that was really interesting. I feel like you don't see that a lot in books, I guess, and how acting impacts how you show yourself and how you view yourself, and how you can still be a really internal, introverted person and be this big actor. And that kind of added an interesting dynamic to the book that I did end up enjoying. This book is told in first person, and it is full of awkward, like, seriously, like, kind of like Fangirl in some ways, or Fangirl has some moments where you're like, oh, Kath, why are you saying the things you're saying? Why are you doing the things you're doing? And even she's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't know how to interact with people. That's kind of how losing it is at times, but that makes it real, honestly, in my opinion. We've all probably done something that she did in this book that's awkward and been like, oh no, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Rewind, rewind, rewind. Even with the things that bothered me, I did end up enjoying it, and I gave it 3.5 stars, if I didn't say that already. I do own some other books by Cora Carmack, and I do plan on reading them, but I'm not exactly sure when or if I will review them or not. And I would recommend these, all of them. I definitely Making Faces for sure. And I'm not sure, actually, I'm not sure I would recommend Edge of Never. I know I gave it 3.5 stars, but I guess enter with caution on that one. And then Losing It is a nice, fairly light new adult novel. It's probably going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. So if you've read any of these books and you have anything to say, let me know down in the comments. And thanks for watching. Bye!